Hello, everybody. Welcome to Perspectives. I'm Sam Jones, and my first guest today is an old partner and an old friend of mine. His name is Tad Jones, the Executive Director of the Will Rogers Memorial Museum. Good to see you.
Good to see you, too. Good to be back.
How's life treating you in the fast lane?
Oh, it's great. Lots going on.
Boy, no kidding.
Yeah.
Why don't we start off with some of the renovations that are planned?
Yes. In 2019, Dr. Bob Blackburn said, Tad, put together a vision for the future of the museum, and we did, and began this process. And now finally, literally this last week, we got the approval to go forward with this big 3-story building and a new entryway into the museum. The 3-story building is going to be, it's going to house office space so we can have more room for exhibits. It's going to have a collections area because we have 2 vaults that are just terrible for collections. This is going to be one of the state-of-the-art collections areas, and then the 3rd floor event center overlooking Claremore. So that'll be wonderful for weddings and reunions. People can rent that and overlook Claremore for different activities. And then we're going to have a new entryway into the museum, a little bigger door, a little more welcome area for when we have tour groups come in, and then what's most important, the bigger gift shop, so you can walk out with that Will Rogers memorabilia. So that'll be going into.
And that's important.
It is. It really is. I mean, because it's carrying the legacy of Will Rogers out with them.
The pictures that you provided us are astounding. What's overall completion date to have it finished?
We're going to break ground on August 14th. Of course, August 15th is the day that Will died. We do a wreath ceremony on that Friday, the 14th. So we'll break ground then, and then it's about a 15 to 18 month process, depending on the weather, when that's going to be done. So we're going to be looking at the spring of 2028. We'll have that 3-story building up and ready to go. At least that's our hope. So it's been a long time in getting all this ready. We've had a lot of money raised from the state. The birthplace we sold to the Cherokee Nation, they're doing a fantastic job getting it renovated, and then we've raised a lot of money from donors all over the country that's going to help us out. So it's an expensive process, but you know, the building was built in 1938, 3 years after Will passed. There was a renovation in 1982 that put the wing on with a theater and some office space. And of course, this is now the biggest renovation since then. That's going to be the 3-story building. So very exciting times.
In the last time I was there, there's one area where there's an old typewriter. Is that the typewriter that was with him when he died?
It was. He used that one on almost all his dailies, and yeah, he had it, and so it's even kind of broken up a little bit. You can see from the crash. So that's one of the big sites that people like to come and see, is the actual typewriter Will used for his daily column that was actually in the crash.
It's the most amazing thing to me. I think I mentioned to you before we started that I came across I don't even know where I saw this, but someone said, why didn't we call Route 66 the Will Rogers Freeway or Will Rogers Road or
Highway,
Byway or whatever? And it turns out that was given some serious thought, wasn't it?
It was. Actually, Congress in 1936, the year after Will died, had a vote to make it the Will Rogers Highway. And then the Will Rogers movie came out, the Will Rogers Story, in 1952, with Will Jr. playing Will. And there was another nicknaming of the Route 66, the Will Rogers Highway, and they had logos made up, and they had these little plaques that are up and down the route. They did a caravan from Chicago to Santa Monica, and it was all about naming it the Will Rogers Highway. So we are celebrating the Will Rogers Highway this year, 100th anniversary, and we have a new exhibit at the museum you can come in and see and learn all about it.
Oh, that's fantastic. Well, you've got so many things planned for the folks, and it's broken down into days. Why don't we start with day one? And if you will, take the ball and run.
We have got spring break coming up, and so instead of us taking off for spring break with all our kids, we have activities for people to come to the museum. So on Monday, we have quilters coming in. They're going to be doing spinning wheels and showing off all the weaving. And we also have what I think is one of the neatest things is our behind the scenes tours. So the tomb is closed off to the public all year round, except on this day. We open up the tomb so you can walk down there and see where Will and Betty and some of the family are buried. You can go into the vaults, which again are closed off to the public. But you can go in and see the vaults, take you down the basement, which is very unique, and then in the library to get to see that. So we do a behind the scenes tour on Monday. On Tuesday, that is a cowboy day. Of course, Will Rogers loved being a cowboy, and so you get to wear your cowboy hats and come in. We're gonna do some cowboy cooking with you. You'll be doing some trick roping, and so that'll be on Tuesday. And on Wednesday, Will Rogers loved flying, and that's going to be Aviation Day. So we're going to have all kinds of stuff. Stuart Roosa, we're going to have the Museum of History there doing a Stuart Roosa exhibit. We're going to have a aviation simulator in the theater, and then yeah, that'll be pretty neat. And then we have our famous airplane contest. So you can learn how to make a paper airplane, and then we have a contest where you throw your paper airplane, and whoever gets the furthest gets a neat Bart Taylor, Will Rogers book or some other stuff from the gift shop. So it's kind of
they need to save those toilet paper cores.
That's right. Start working on it right now to get your paper airplane ready to go. So that'll be on Wednesday.
My.
Yep.
So much has happened. My wife and I drove Route 66 from Chicago down through Tulsa and out beyond. And of course, who found out about it but Michael Wallace and said, well, if you go by this place, you'll get the best pie. You go by there, you get the best chili. I mean, it was outrageous, the things he knew about it before we even hit the road.
Well, that takes us to day 4, which is Thursday. That's Will Rogers Highway Day. So we're doing cars, and we're going to show the movie Cars. Michael Wallace was at the museum just a couple of weeks ago when we opened up our Will Rogers Highway exhibit. And so we're going to have the Scouts are going to have a Pinewood Derby so they can roll your cars. We're going to have classic cars in the parking lot. So yeah, it's all about cars, Route 66 and the Will Rogers Highway on Thursday. And then Friday we do a talent show. You know, Will Rogers, he didn't just show up and be great. He learned the hard way and getting up on stage and getting over the nerves. And so we offer that every year, a talent show. So any age can come. We usually have young kids, but we've had adults too, can come and be in the talent show and get up on stage and sing or play the piano or do a magic trick or juggle, whatever you want to do.
Or a rope trick or two.
That's right. You can do that too.
You know, it's an amazing thing to know how many stories about him are floating around out there. Some of them I've wondered about. Did he really get up in the stands when he was rodeoing for show and tell and with his ropes and all and help corral a bull that got...
Oh yeah, that was probably his big claim to fame because he was in the Wild West shows that were traveling all over, and they were in New York City, in Madison Square Garden, which is still there today, and a bull got out and ran into the crowd, and Will roped it and they say saved people's lives and got it back into the stadium there, and the next thing you know in the newspapers is Will Rogers, you know, Cherokee cowboy from Oklahoma helped save the day, and everybody wanted to hear what Will Rogers had to say and watch him do his trochrit.
Must have been an amazing fellow.
Yep, his rope tricks, yep.
Well, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt your flow of information. What else have you got coming?
Well, those are the 5 big things we have for spring break next week. So then it's just a matter of just getting ready for the year. We have groups coming in from Route 66, the Will Rogers Highway all year long. We have this thing called the Great Race, which is coming in. They're going out of Springfield, Missouri and going all the way through to California, and they're going to stop at the memorial with about 160 classic cars sometime in June. We got our kids camps that are coming up in June, which we get a lot of people showing up for that. And then we're going to be opening this is the 250th birthday of America as well this year. And of course, Will Rogers was America's cowboy philosopher. So we're going to have an exhibit celebrating America and Will Rogers' role in American history.
My word, that took a lot of planning.
It did, and they're still planning it. There's a lot of work to be done with that. I got a great staff though. They are on the ball.
You must have.
We had 100 kids in the museum today. My staff they're traveling all over the country talking about Will Rogers. We're bringing people in all over the place, and they're just doing a fantastic job.
And for the folks who are new to this part of the world, this is a great time for an education.
It is. Come on by the Will Rogers Memorial and learn about the Will Rogers Highway, and then one of the most influential, and I would argue the most popular person in American history.
Had to be. Had to be.
Everybody
easily.
loved Will.
As you've done it, as you've helped breathe life into all of the events that you have going on, have you learned anything new?
Oh, you know, it's hard to comprehend how big he was. You know, we all knew that he was a star, but just knowing how big he was as a person is amazing, in his humanitarian efforts. And I think that's probably one of the things that people don't know about. He was in the movies, he was in the radio, he did newspaper.
Did he ever do the Ziegfeld Follies?
Oh yes, he was big in the Ziegfeld Follies, yeah. Matter of fact, we have a saddle that Will Rogers gave to Mr. Ziegfeld's daughter that we have now in the museum.
Is that right?
Yeah, but he was such a humanitarian. You know, Will traveled all over the world helping people out. When there were people destitute, he didn't just talk about it. He did talk about it, but he would show up. He would raise money for them. There's plaques all around the country from people that honored Will Rogers because of what he did in his humanitarian efforts.
I understand he had a weakness for ice cream?
Oh, I think chili was his thing. That was his big weakness. He loved chili. And Ike's chili in Tulsa was his favorite chili. So if I said he had a weakness with anything, I think it's his chili. He would eat it all the time. Most of us would get heartburn as much as he ate, but that was his thing.
Well, listen, I want to thank you first for taking time to cross the street and tell us about it. And for the folks who are not familiar with all that he did, all that he accomplished, this is a prime time to learn.
Mm-hmm. It is. It's a great museum. It's been here a long time, and we got a lot of people ready to tell the story about Will Rogers. And what a great role model citizen in the country and the world today. We need somebody to really look up to and how to treat a fellow person, and Will Rogers is that person. He never met a man he didn't like, and that's because he looked at the good in people, and we all need a little bit of that.
Boy, we can use it now, couldn't we?
We could.
Well, thank you for coming by. Keep us posted on any changes. For goodness sake, let us know. And I'm going to go over to Ike's and get some chili.
Good stuff.
All right, my man. We're going to take a short break. We'll be back with more after this.